The DCI unveils faces of suspected looters during street protests. 2 suspects plead not guilty to charges of burning Kikuyu Constituency Development Fund office. The government disburses 3.2 billion shillings for the Inua Jami cash transfer program. Many thanks indeed for joining us. My name is Mboya, our sign language interpreter. Tonight is Anne Wangeshi. Speak to us on our socials, on all our media social platforms at KBC Channel 1, our lead story. Tonight, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is on the hunt for persons who infiltrated countrywide-led youth protests on the 25th of June and were captured on CCTV footage, looting, destroying properties and businesses within the Central Business District. The Mohammed Amin-led investigation unit, through a statement on X, maintained that while Kenyans were peaceful, exercising their rights to protest, there are individuals who took advantage of the situation and went on looting a looting spree along Ronald Ngala Street later in the day. As Abdiaziz Hashim now tells us, the detectives have appealed to Kenyans to report any of the persons caught on camera to police stations across the country.
The 1 minute and 33 seconds CCTV footage shared by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI on its X platform shows how a section of individuals broke into a store along Ronald Ngala Street at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 25th of June 2024, at the height of the Anti-Finance Bill 2024 demonstrations. The suspects, seemingly young, are seen looting the premises. Branded a group with criminal minds, according to Mohammed Amin-led investigation unit, stated that they took advantage of the peaceful nationwide demonstrations organized by the youth to cause mayhem and loot businesses within the Central Business District. Police also say boutiques, electronic shops and supermarkets were also looted. This revelation comes barely 24 hours after President William Ruto stated that security chiefs are on the trail of the said individuals.
Criminals and other agents who took advantage of a legitimate concern of Kenyans stepped in, went and banned the Chief Justice's office, went and banned City Hall, went and banned Parliament, and destroyed property of innocent citizens.
The head of state revealing that the damage caused to businesses and properties occasioned by the protest tunes of billions of shillings.
2.4 billion of property has been destroyed.
Meanwhile, former Nandi Hills Member of Parliament Alfred Keter has been grilled on allegations of a conspiracy to trafficking firearms and inciting violence, claims he denied.
Talk about this issue, because were it not for the people who took the video and for the video to be viral, maybe I would have lost my life, because the way they did it, it was not a normal arrest. I was abducted.
The former MP was dramatically arrested on Sunday, maintained that his arrest was politically motivated.
They gave some verbal allegations, really nothing, because there's nothing presented officially. Just mere allegations and harassment.
Number one, we are aware that there are still a number of Kenyans, very many Kenyans who are still missing. When we have asked the DCI officers here, they have told us that it is not them who took these people.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
Now, in the corridors of justice, 15 youth have been presented before an Eldoret law court and charged in connection with the last week's finance bill protests in the town. This is as 2 people have pleaded not guilty to 3 charges at Kiambu Law Court, where they were accused of taking part in last week's countrywide protests in Kikuyu Town, where the office of the National Government Constituency Development Fund was set ablaze. Details in our Scales of Justice segment.
Appearing before Chief Magistrate Mikoyan, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation sought 21 days to hold the accused in custody in order to complete investigations.
Mheshimiwa, ombi langu ni kwa koti hii ni kuweza kupewa siku 21 niweze kukaa na hawa washukiwa kukamilisha shughuli wangu ambao bado sijakamilisha. He has not given any reason why he did not bring them to court. Some of them, Your Honor, are bearing injuries from the assaults that were inflicted upon them by the police officers who went to arrest them.
The court was informed that the youth were being investigated for crimes ranging from stealing, handling suspected stolen goods, to malicious damage to property.
Thursday ndio nitatoa uamuzi kulingana na ombi ya kiongozi mchunguzi wa mashtaka na majibu ambayo nimepata kupitia kwa wakili wenu.
Elset Kembulo, Naftali Njama and Joseph Waweru accused of taking part in last week countrywide protest in Kikuyu town where the office of the National Government Constituency Development Fund were arraigned.
Kuweka moto kwa gari sajili namba KAH 979S Toyota Land Cruiser ya thamana ya 2,500,000 mali ya National Government Constituency Development Fund.
Senior Principal Magistrate Peter Oko has scheduled a pre-trial conference on the 11th of July. The duo pleaded not guilty to the 3 charges and were released on a 1 million shillings bond with an alternative of a cash bail of 200,000 shillings.
The accused are prohibited from interfering with any of the prosecution witnesses, either directly and or through proxies.
Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Now, Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has dismissed fresh demands by Generation Z for the government to immediately scrap the housing levy and publish an audit of how the money has been utilized so far. Wahome has further warned against what she terms as the illegal use of demonstrations in the country to derail critical development initiatives, including the affordable housing project. Here is that report.
With youthful demonstrators vowing to head back into the streets Tuesday, the government has continued to urge for sobriety in seeking for solutions to their demands. Lands CS Alice Wahome has particularly cautioned against calls for the government to halt the collection of 1.5% levy to fund the construction of affordable houses in the country.
I already have over 100,000 housing units. If I stopped at this stage, then that would be dead capital investment, and it is Kenyans' money.
Her sentiments were echoed by members of the Nairobi Business Community Organization who have decried massive losses they incurred in the last week's protests.
Apart from mambo na JNC, vile wamekuwa wakichukulia hii jambo, kulikuja watu ambao wamekuwa pia ni wakora, wameingia ndani, wametuharibia biashara.
I understand the president have acknowledged the fact that he have yielded to your demands. He is ready to talk. And I'm calling upon you people to give him time, listen also to him as much as he has listened to you.
Meanwhile, Wahome has announced plans to put in place a new policy on land ownership in the country. She says the new set of laws will curb land grabbing and tampering with land records.
As soon as we finish with the policy, then we'll be able to look at the land law and do rectification or amendment of the law to capture very serious loopholes and gaps that the land grabbers are using, including how we deal with land that was grabbed belonging to the public but grabbed and developed.
Speaking at a public forum in Nairobi's South Ward, Wahome, who was flanked by the area MCA Waithera Chege, said plans are underway to repossess all public land in the area which are acquired illegally by individuals including politicians.
Hapo mbeleni kulikuwa na waizi wale tunaita kwa Kiingereza grabbers, land grabbers, ambaye walikuwa wanafamia kila plot, kila shamba, kila nafasi.
Joseph Ohungu for Prime Edition.
Now, Chief Justice Martha Koome has challenged the newly admitted advocates to use their fresh knowledge and skills at this pivotal moment when Kenya is navigating a historic moment where there is a public discourse brought about by the Gen Z. The President of the Supreme Court reaffirmed that courts will remain ready and open to hear and expeditiously determine all cases, especially those presented in connection with the ongoing unrest. As Ruth Mboya reports, the ceremony, which had been postponed to the 5th of August 2024, had to be done today after the new advocates petitioned the Chief Justice.
Milimani Local Source a beehive of activities on Monday. For the first time in history, it became the venue for the admission of the advocates, unlike the norm at the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Martha Koome led the ceremony where over 5 were admitted to be advocates of the High Court.
Profession is saturated. This is a country of 55 million people, and with barely 25,000 lawyers, you are just a drop in the bucket. There is something for each one of you to do.
It is here that Koome took a swipe at Kenyans who attacked the court's key infrastructure, citing courts as the last bastions for the rule of law and havens of justice.
Use your voices and skills to help us respect human rights, to promote national unity, and to seek stability of our nation.
The Chief Registrar of Judiciary, Winfrida Mokaya, said while picketing is guaranteed in the Constitution, those engaging in protest should conduct themselves in a peaceful manner that does not threaten life or property.
Therefore, serving on the bench requires not only legal acumen, but also impartiality, wisdom, and a deep sense of fairness.
Law enforcement agencies have been urged to process any alleged criminal acts within the law and avoid any temptations to use extra legal means like abductions.
Please be careful with what you do with your clients' monies. Use your own. It's very easy to do that.
Talking up from someone who has benefited from mentorship, from those who have struggled before me, those who have walked in these shoes before me. I'm a clear beneficiary of mentorship of so many seniors that have held my hand, and that has helped me get to the position I am today.
The young advocates have promised to bring vibrant and fresh ideas that will raise the legal profession to the next level. Ruth Mboya for Prime Edition.
And now the clergy is calling on the youth to halt the ongoing demonstrations following concessions made by the President on the Finance Bill 2024. According to the clergy, it's now time to engage in meaningful conversations. They've also urged police to exercise restraint when dealing with demonstrators. Here is that report.
According to the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, the past few weeks have seen the country undergo a series of incidents never witnessed before.
It is the first time for us to have demonstrations organized and executed by our youth, largely in their 20s without a political party or figure organizing them. It is also the first time for Kenya to have a finance bill rejected in totality by the President. It is the first time for Kenya's Parliament to deploy the military to deal with citizens' demonstrations.
The clergy is now appealing to the youth to call off the demonstrations after President William Ruto withdrew the Finance Bill of 2024 and give dialogue a chance.
We request the youths to cease street demonstrations and engage the government. The church is concerned that the current demonstrations may have been infiltrated by the goons and persons with ill intent, going by the destruction and the looting of property witnessed.
We wish to advise the Kenyan youth not to throw the baby with the bathwater. This country and its future is in our hands to nurture. Since the president has heard their voice and cry, it is time to engage in a different way.
What can make things to be streamlined is when we have someone on the throne of mediation, a foreigner, an independent person that all groups will look at him or her with trust.
Law enforcement agencies have also been urged to avoid using excessive force when dealing with demonstrators to avert further loss of life.
We condemn the use of excessive force by the security agencies on demonstrators. We urge the security teams to arrest and arraign in court any demonstrator who breaks the rule of law.
The clergy is also calling on the youth to respect the church, while at the same time urging politicians to stick to worship when in the houses of worship.
Wanasiasa, mkienda kanisani, muende kuabudu kama waumini wengine, na ibada ikiisha hata ikiwezekana uwe wa kwanza kuenda.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Now, the National Heroes Council has challenged national heroes to stay on course and continue advocating for what they were recognized for. Speaking in Kwale when he met the environment champions, National Heroes Council Chief Executive Officer Charles Wambia encouraged the group to be more proactive in its mission of tree planting, as well as complement the government's motto of planting at least 15 billion trees by the year 2032.
4 years now, a group of environmental conservation enthusiasts in Kwale County, locally known as Siwakaya Diani, has been at the forefront in the matters of conservation and the protection of cultural heritage in the region. This was the first stop the National Heroes Council made when its leadership visited the group. Here, the council, led by its Chief Executive Officer Charles Wambia, challenged those recognized as national heroes to keep the fire burning as they serve the country in different spheres.
And that celebration is a docket of the National Heroes Council. And I think the steering committee, together with the working committee of the Office of the President, has had its first meeting. And national heroes were involved.
He challenged the national heroes to make a difference, first at the village level.
You are an educationist, you are a sports person, you are a freedom fighter, and many others, even religion, any other place. Use that moment of that honor to be felt within your county. Use that honor you've been given to be felt nationally. Our office is ready to interact with all heroes who have been honored.
The group, through their chairman, Idi Hassan, lamented several attempts by private developers eyeing cultural heritage sites.
yetu kwa sababu sisi sote hapa ni Wadigo, tunahifadhi vizuri mila zetu, tunazihifadhi yani kila jinsi hapa tunahifadhi vizuri sana na tunajua mila na desturi.
We've been able to be taken through what is the tradition of the Kaya people, and I can confirm that it has a lot, and we are going to task even the elders who have taken us through quite a number of lessons here, so that these lessons can be passed through the younger generations.
The visit to Kwale County by the National Heroes Council is part of its mission to identify local heroes and heroines in the region as the county prepares to host this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations.
Now, as schools resume for the second half of the second term amidst protests, parents across the country are calling on government to assure them of their children's safety. Parents who released their children back to school after the half-term break have raised concerns over the use of tear gas in close proximity to schools, noting that this could spark fears among students and end up causing unnecessary disruptions to the studies. Paulina Simiu has details of that report.
In Nairobi City, it is survival for the fittest. The increased demand for transportation as learners go back to school after the half-term break has led to overcrowding and delays at the various bus terminals in the city as students scramble to secure seats on public vehicles. What is, however, not lost to parents is the prevailing situation with ongoing protests causing anxiety among parents who now want the government to guarantee them of their children's safety once they are in schools. The parents fear that the use of tear gas to disperse protesters may affect children if the same is done in close proximity to schools.
Yale mashule iko hapa karibu. Unapata ikiwa ni tear gas inarushwa mpaka inaingia kwa shule. Unapata wale watoto wako pale wakisikia mlipuko kama huyo wanatetemeka na itakuwa ngumu concentrate na masomo. Kwa hivyo hiyo kitu ndio nimeona ina affect. Kama kuna vile serikali inaweza fanya at least isikiliza mwananchi, at least naona itakuwa jambo la maana. At least hii shida iweze kufika mwisho.
This comes as parents who are taking their children back to school raise concern over increased bus fares amidst the back to school rush.
Unapata hapo gari ni kama inalipishwa double, unaona? Kwa hivyo hiyo kitu imekuwa ni pigo kwetu kama wazazi. Njoo mimi hata nimeamua kupeleka kuingiza mtoto kwa gari mimi ni mbaki.
On their part, the public service vehicle officials said that they are overwhelmed by the influx of students returning to school.
Ile kawaida ya hiyo ingine hakuna tofauti, ijapokuwa hii wengi zaidi. Kwa mfano, ukiangalia pale kama mtu wako kamera ataangalia pale. So watu ni wengi.
In the midst of all this tension, the question remains, will the government maintain both the safety and uninterrupted education for these students based on the ongoing Gen Z's protest? Paulina Simiu for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
The midterm break story brings us to our first break here on Prime Edition. We're taking a short break. We'll be back. Stay with us.
More than in any other sophisticated African nation, President Kenyatta of Kenya is popularly accepted as a leader without rival. Now more than 80 years of age, Kenyatta has unified a tribal nation through the sheer power of his personality. Support from Kenya's 11 million people comes to Kenyatta despite a ban on the country's principal opposition party. Perhaps it is that Kenya enjoys a high degree of freedom to comment and criticize, both in parliament and the press, despite being a one-party state. Furthermore, Kenyatta's personal authority is never challenged. It is that authority which has glued Kenya together and will like...
Clean and safe water starts with a plan. WASREB's Water Safety Planning Guideline helps to protect our water from contamination and ensures that every consumer has access to clean and safe water.
The team goes out every day. They pick samples and come back with the samples almost like on an estimate around 30 samples per day. They test for coliform and also E. coli.
As a consumer, you can also get involved in making this planning effective. Report any issues such as leaks, unusual tastes, or smells in your water to your water provider immediately.
In addition, we also do what we call regular monitoring. We send out inspectors to pick samples, test them in accredited labs, and where they are not meeting the standards, we have the enforcement as an enforcement strategy.
WASREB, celebrating 20 years of water services regulation.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote kutokwa na usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli. Ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. Daktari kumshauri tumia dawa tupashane tupige vita TB. Inua TB, TB waishi poa. Inua TB, TB waishi poa.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition. Now, a group calling itself the Nairobi Youth Business Community, NYBC, has called on government to arrest the current polarized political atmosphere in the country through a constructive dialogue with Kenyans. In a press briefing here in Nairobi, Kenya, the business community led by Mohammed Omar highlighted the severe impact of the recent demonstrations on businesses, reporting significant financial losses and damage to property amounting to 3 billion shillings.
The business community noted the witnessed unrest has so far resulted in an estimated loss of 800 million shillings for youth entrepreneurs in Nairobi from the total 3 billion shillings loss.
We have images and CCTVs of the goons who took advantage of the protest, and we are ready to share with the security agencies.
Akae na vijana chini, asikize vijana vile ambavyo wanataka, tuangalie kama kuna suluhu inaweza kupatikana.
Meanwhile, Machakos County Governor Wavinya Ndeti now says a group of hired guns last week infiltrated anti-finance bill demonstrators and engaged in wanton looting and destruction of property.
Because at the end of the day, if we spoil what is ours, now I am going to spend a lot of money trying to repair what was damaged instead of doing new development.
And a cross-section of leaders from South Sudan living in Kenya is now calling for the Kenyan government to address the inclusivity challenge in the current trajectory of peacekeeping process, which was initiated between President William Ruto and South Sudan President Salva Kiir.
It has to be a constitution making. This is what we need from Kenya to help us. We need to have a constitution. By constitution, we will prevent nonsense. We will prevent corruption. We will prevent wars. We will actually be focused on developing our country because we have the resources that can develop this region as a whole, not South Sudan alone.
Elsewhere, more than 200 people living with physical disabilities in the larger eastern and northeastern regions of Kenya are said to benefit from the donation of artificial limbs, courtesy of Imenti North Member of Parliament Daud Rahim, in collaboration with the Narayan Foundation.
Mgundi si pesa kidogo, ni pesa mingi sana. It's over 200, 300. So watu wamefaidika na pia mimi ninashukuru
At the same time, widows in Quisero, Kakamega County have voiced their frustrations over the process of accessing government funds intended for their welfare, further calling on the government to streamline the process of accessing the much needed support.
Kiwa wachuku hakuna namna. Anaangalia mimi. Sasa nakuja mnisaidie na neno na chakula.
And finally, Migori County Assembly has approved the appropriation bill for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, allowing the Migori County government to commence its budget utilization from July 1st, 2024. John Kahiro, Prime Edition.
Let's now look at this tackling plastic waste story where marine conservationists are warning about the dangers of plastic waste in the Indian Ocean and on the beaches, calling for better waste disposal strategies along the coastline. Speaking during a cleanup exercise at the Mazingira beach in Kilifi County, the environmentalists, led by the county's Environment Director Jimmy Kahindia, said that there is need to develop to the banning of particular types of plastics that should not be used on the beaches.
Despite Kenya banning single-use plastics in protected areas, including national parks, beaches, forests and conservation areas in the year 2020, many traders continue to sell water and refreshments in plastic bottles along the beach. A United Nations Environment Programme UNEP 2018 Africa report on waste management indicates Kenya's level of mismanaged plastic that finds its way into the Indian Ocean is set to exceed 100,000 tons per year. Marine conservationists are calling for collaborative efforts that will help to reverse the tide of destruction and usher in a new era of ocean conservation and sustainability.
Ingekuwa vizuri kama pia tutakuja na mikakati ya kudhibiti ile taka through banning some types of plastic ambao mtu labda hawezi kuja nao kwa bahari, na pia vile vile kuhamasisha wale watu wote ambao wanaishi karibu na hizi fuo.
The litter that mars these pristine shores, the plastic waste that chokes marine life, and the loss of precious ecosystems demand our immediate attention and action.
Alice Wanjiru, a 10-year-old climate action activist, says that oceans plays a critical role in sustaining life on Earth, especially by being a source of food and livelihood for millions around the globe.
As we gaze upon the vast expanse of blue stretching out before us, let us not forget the critical role that the ocean plays in sustaining life on Earth.
However, it is now facing unprecedented threats through pollution, overfishing and climate change. According to the conservationists, to further tackle the plastic waste challenge along the coastline, the hoteliers along this belt have a role to play.
Na pia hasusan ni kuleta washikadau wa hizi hoteli karibu, kuwapatia hamasisho na pia wajue kuwa wako na jukumu la kuhakikisha wanalinda bahari. Bahari hii ndio bado wanaitegemea.
They spoke during a cleanup exercise at the Mazingira Beach in Kilifi County.
Now, the government has disbursed 3.2 billion shillings for the Inua Jami cash transfer program, expected to benefit over 1 million citizens countrywide. Principal Secretary of Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs, Joseph Motari, says that payments will commence on Wednesday, the 3rd of July. He said that the newly onboarded members, totaling 570,000, will receive their shares from 6 designated banks.
Principal Secretary for Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs Joseph Motari has today announced the disbursement of the June 2024 payment of the Inua Jami cash transfer program, amounting to over 3.2 billion shillings, set to benefit over 1 million beneficiaries, including the recently enjoined beneficiaries.
On Friday, 28th of June 2024, released Kenya shillings 3 billion 215 million 992,000 shillings for the June 2024 payment to beneficiaries,
adding that the ministry is targeting to upscale the program to 2.5 million beneficiaries, which will be done in phases.
Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba hao maafisa wetu wanakuja na system ambayo mmoja akiaga tunaongeza huyu mmoja, wawili wakiaga tunaongeza au huyu mmoja. Watoto wale ambao wana grow tunawalipa mpaka miaka 23, wakifikisha birthday ya miaka 24 then tunaleta watoto wengine.
This while noting that the amount disbursed expected to of July will first cater for the elderly, then the rest of the beneficiaries who are the orphans and people living with disability are slated for the next batch.
Lakini kwa sababu ya mambo ya mitambo hatutaweza kulipa wale walemavu na watoto yatima katika mwezi huu, na lakini mwezi wa pili tutahakikisha kwamba hata wao wote tumewalipa pamoja.
The beneficiaries are expected to receive their shares from their designated banks. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Community health promoters in the country want the Ministry of Health to conduct immediate sensitization forums which will equip them with the knowledge of how to facilitate the Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF if you like, which was rolled out on Monday. According to the Ministry of Health, the CHPs are meant to assist members of the public who encounter challenges in registering the new health scheme online or through a self-registration USSD code *147#, while our visit to Jericho Health Center in Nairobi revealed that many Kenyans are seeking support from the officers. CHPs are waiting for a directive from the ministry on how to participate in the registration.
Yeah, there should be some officers who come to the ground, to sensitize us on how we are going to do the registration.
Yes, we are receiving clients who are coming to ask about the shift, but we are still just communicating to them. We are just telling them continue using your NHF cards at the moment before it be being registered.
We are just waiting for feedback kutoka from the government. Once it comes, itakuwa mzuri because also for them they are saying ni kitu itakuwa na benefit and it is something very good and they are welcoming it 100%.
Tonight on the Cabinet, we delve into the political journey of Esther Murugi Madenge, a determined trailblazer from Githiru village in Nyeri, who rose from humble beginnings to become a prominent figure in politics, business, as well as government. She served in the cabinet of President Mwai Kibaki.
From an early age, Esther Murugi always aspired to be something great, something that would see her leave Githiru village in Nyeri and move away from the already beaten paths that those came before her trod. Murugi was first introduced to education at the Githiru Primary School before joining Highlands Secondary School, today Moi Girls Eldoret, for her secondary education. She then enrolled at the University of Nairobi in 1973 for a land economics degree course. At the time, land economics was perceived oppressive of men. Records from the University of Nairobi show her class of 40 only had 2 female students. Upon her graduation after 4 years, Murugi was quickly absorbed into the public sector, joining the Ministry of Lands as a lands officer in 1977. She left public service only to return years later. When the second multi-party elections came around in 1997, she threw her heart into the ring. She lost to Wanyeri Kihoro. In 2002, she contested the Nyeri Town parliamentary seat again. Peter Gishahi Moreithi beat her to the ticket and won the seat in a landslide victory. Although she lost, Murugi had been a vocal campaigner for National Rainbow Coalition's candidate Mwai Kibaki in the 2002 general election. She was no longer an unknown entity in Nyeri Town. Even after Kibaki's successful bid, she remained within earshot of the president. And in the following 2007 general election, Murugi had already cemented herself as a reliable MP. In 2007, Murugi became third-time lucky and made it to Parliament. Just 4 months after her election, she was named Minister for Gender and Children's Affairs. She was named a Deputy National Women Leader at Party of National Unity, PNU. While she ran her business, Murugi also worked for an international non-governmental organization that focused on the welfare of women and children. This not only cemented her grassroots connection, but played a crucial role in providing first-hand knowledge of the needs of the category of citizens the Gender and Children's Affairs Ministry was created to serve. While at the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs, Murugi was credited with institutionalizing the creation of a database of women professionals and of women who wish to vie for political positions. Midway through President Kibaki's second term, Murugi was moved to another service-oriented ministry. In 2011, Kenya suffered one of the worst droughts in its history. The resulting famine claimed thousands of human lives, yet there seemed to be a very muted response from government on the matter. When the international community started to mount pressure on the government to do more, Murugi came out guns blazing, defending the position of the state. At the time, critics said the administration had failed to prepare for a possible drought or famine despite repeated warnings. Morugi, standing by her government, denied the charge. In 2013, Morugi was re-elected as Nyeri Town Member of Parliament. In 2017, she lost the Nyeri Town seat after serving for 2 terms. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
Last month, just why do you worry so much about me, huh? I was a good friend of your mother's. And your age is about the age of my son. If I had a son.
Amparo, then it's better to just file a divorce case.
Inua TB, TB waishi poa. Inua TB, TB waishi poa.
Asanteni sana kwa kuwezesha Lotomoto kuwafikia wengi wasiojiweza kupitia star 570#. Hapa umewafuta wengi machozi, umewaelimisha, umewapa makao, umewapa lishe na umewapa matibabu kwa namna tofauti. Asanteni.
Asanteni. Asanteni sana.
Na kwako wewe mchezaji wa Lotomoto, unajipa Probox nayo. Na kama Probox haikufai na umejishindia, tunakupa taslim 750,000 Kenyan shillings na mshindi na mtangaza 30th of June. Na mwezi wa July 28th na mtangaza mshindi wa Demio nayo. Na kama utaki na umeshinda, wacha gari, chukua chapa 750,000 Kenyan shillings kwenye star 570#. Wewe si mshindi tu, wewe ni tegemeo kubwa. Tusaidie na tushinde!
Thank you for keeping it Channel 1. Time for business. My name is Betty Kiptum. Sugar sector stakeholders from the Western Kenya Sugar Belt are calling for a speedy mediation of the sticky issues in the Sugar Bill 2022 to allow its assenting into law. The stakeholders claim the reforms contained in the bill need to be implemented as soon as possible for the sugar sub-sector to operate optimally. Weekly Focus with more details from Kisumu.
The Emmanuel Wangwe and David Wakoli sponsored proposes a raft of reforms that, if made into law, will streamline operations in the critical sugar subsector. Among the proposed reforms is the establishment of the Kenya Sugar Board, which will be mandated to specifically manage sugar affairs as opposed to the current arrangement where sugar affairs in the country are generalized under the Agriculture and Food Authority. The bill is currently in the mediation stage, having been considered by the bicameral parliament. Sugar stakeholders from the Western Kenya Sugar Belt are, however, calling for speedy resolution to the sticky issues for the bill to be assented to.
Once that bill is signed into law, then cheap financing and money for research will be available for farmers. We also ask that the government has factored Kenya shillings 4 billion in their budget, this year's budget, which was to pay workers in the industry. And as such, we as sugarcane farmers are very thankful first to the government and of His Excellency the President for the deliberate moves that he has made to bring back sugar as a key crop in this country.
Led by Richard Ogendo, the Secretary General of the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association, the stakeholders noted that optimal operation of the state-owned sugar factories requires an effective managerial framework, such as the government-backed privatization.
We project that if the government continues in the same trajectory by inviting investors into the private sugar mills, that the balance sheets have now been balanced, then by 2026 or early 2027, we will be having a surplus of 150,000 metric tons of sugar ready for export. So instead of Kenya becoming a net importer, we will become a net exporter.
Tunaamini ya kwamba kupitia kwa Kenya Sugar Board, mambo yetu mingi ya miwa
itakuja kutekelezwa kulingana na maono ya rais. Hayo maono lazima iwe na legal framework, na legal framework upanzi wa miwa ni kurudishwa kwa Kenya Sugar Board ambayo itapana nafasi kwanza for Kenya development.
For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
And inflation in the month of June eased to 4.6%, a 3-year low. The decrease was due to reduced prices of gas and kerosene. Transport costs dropped by 0.2% between May 2024 and June 2024, mainly due to a decrease in prices of petrol and diesel.
The Bureau says the rise in prices of transport, housing and some food commodities and utilities did not affect the overall cost of living. The annual headline inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index was 4.6% in June 2024. The price increase was mainly driven by the rise in prices of commodities under transport, food and non-alcoholic beverages and housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels between June 2023 and June 2024. These three divisions account for over 57% of the weights of the 13 broad categories. The food and non-alcoholic beverages index increased by 0.7% in June 2024. In particular, prices of cabbages, spinach, kale increased by 14.8%, 11.3% and 10.7% respectively between May 2024 and June 2024. Prices of oranges, sugar, maize flour dropped by 2.5%, 2.4% and 2% respectively between May 2024 and June 2024. The housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels index increased by 0.4% between May 2024 and June 2024, mainly due to rise in prices of 200 kilowatts and 50 kilowatts of electricity by 2.9% and 3.4% respectively. This was in spite of a drop in the prices of gas and kerosene by 0.3% and 3.4% respectively during the period. The transport index dropped by 0.2% between May 2024 and June 2024, mainly due to decrease in prices of petrol and diesel by 1.6% and 3.4% respectively. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And the much-awaited economic partnership agreement between Kenya and the European Union came into force today, with the two sides hailing the agreement as a major milestone in Africa. Trade Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano says the agreement will unlock new economic opportunities as the EU is Kenya's first export destination and second largest trading partner after China. The trade deal seeks to open duty-free and quota-free access for all Kenya's exports to the EU market, which is valued at $18 trillion.
After 8 years of neck-breaking negotiations, the Economic Partnership Agreement was signed in Nairobi last year, heralding a new dawn between Kenya and the European Union. However, the deal was frowned upon by some regional countries like Tanzania and Rwanda, who viewed this agreement as a betrayal by Nairobi at a time when the East African community was working on a unified negotiation platform. The deal was witnessed by President William Ruto and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Despite this, it's all systems go as the treaty's implementation signals significant strides in economic and development cooperation. The partnership also encompasses a chapter on trade and sustainable development, which covers provisions on labor issues, gender equality, forestry and environment, as well as the fight against climate change. With the EU being one of Kenya's topmost export destinations and second largest trading partner, the EPA will opportunities for Kenyan businesses and exporters thanks to increased legal certainty and stability. The partnership will also see Kenya's exports to the EU remain tariff-free, while tariffs on some EU exports liberalized over time. Total trade between the EU and Kenya reached 3 billion euros in 2023, an increase of 16% compared to 2018. Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
Kenya and China have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to grow the Kenyan film and theatre industry. The agreements aim to enhance cultural exchange, boost local content creation, and open up new economic opportunities for Kenyans. This collaboration is expected to enhance the quality and diversity of content available in both countries. Star Times Media says the collaboration will see Kenyan stories reach a global audience thanks to the joint productions and content sharing with Chinese media entities.
We encourage two-way exchanges, that our Kenyan content would also be viewed in China, and because the more we interact and learn about each other, the more familiar we become with one another, the less the barriers are, the better we are able to cooperate, and our partnerships continue to be stronger.
When Chinese producers are able to do productions in Kenya, we have an opportunity for job creation. We have so many young people who are talented and who are yearning to be part of big budget productions. So this provides us with that array of opportunity that will create jobs, will also market Kenya, and will be able to attract more tourists into our country, because more Chinese will be able to see what Kenya has to offer, and will be willing to come and witness firsthand.
It's like two ways. We not only bring Chinese culture to Kenya, we also want to bring Kenya culture to China. You know, sometimes media company is a Kenya company. We register in Kenya, and we have this kind of responsibility to promote not only Chinese culture, even Kenya culture.
The main objective is just to ensure that any content that is being aired in Kenya is compliant, or rather any that is airing in Kenya, our children are protected from exposure to adult content, and that it conforms to our culture, to our national values and our aspirations. And of course, we are all looking forward to being entertained.
NCBA Group PLC has today announced the completion of its 100% acquisition of AIG Kenya Insurance Company Limited, bringing an end to 18 years of minority shareholding in AIG Kenya. NCBA's Group Managing Director, John Gashora, says the acquisition will unlock opportunities to catalyze deeper insurance market penetration in the country, with clients being able to access all their financial products under one roof. The insurance company joins 6 other NCBA Group PLC subsidiaries.
Today, AIG Kenya becomes officially a subsidiary of the NCBA Group. It's an exciting time. We've been working at this for about 9 months now. As someone said, the gestation period for babies. So today, this is the latest baby to be added to the NCBA Group. So as we said before, the kind of customer NCBA serves is a very sophisticated customer, and they want services from the same place. All financial services are converging today. A customer will talk to you about their investment needs, they'll talk about their borrowing needs, they'll talk about their deposit needs, they'll talk about their insurance needs. And so what this does is bring a one NCBA approach to the life of a customer.
Now, the government has embarked on a national hotel classification program to standardize accommodation facilities in order to attract more tourists and spur growth. Principal Secretary for the State Department for Tourism, John Ololtua, says the move is part of initiatives aimed at meeting the EAC classification standards.
2009, the East African Community EAC developed common classification criteria to standardize accommodation facilities in the bloc, covering town and vacation hotels, lodges, tented camps, motels, villas, cottages, and service apartments. Kenya is now seeking to classify hotels in a bid to standardize performance in the tourism sector.
Because for us to be able to attract international tourists, domestic tourists, there must be proper accommodation. There must be proper conference facilities that they are going to use. And so I want to encourage the investors that please continue investing.
According to the Tourism Research Institute, 1.96 million tourists visited the country in 2023, but the figures are yet to rebound to the pre-COVID levels of over 2 million tourists.
And it is possible to do this, and the reason why I say it's possible is because tourism is private sector driven. And when we have a number of investors coming to our country to invest in different sectors of the economy.
I'd like to appreciate the government for extending 4.5 billion shilling to tourism fund and the 2.2 billion to tourism promotion fund in the 2025 budget.
Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
And that is the business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with Daniel Wahome. My name is Betty Kiptum. Good night.
Seven, 8, 9, 10.
Multi-bonus. Zidisha ushindi wako hadi 1,000 na multi-bonus 1,000%. Kuwa mshindi. Mozartbet.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozartbet.
Good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. And we start with athletics, where sprinters, who are in camp, including Africa 100 meters record holder Ferdinand Omanyala, will leave the country on Thursday this week for the Fanny Blankers King Games in Hengelo to gauge his performance in preparedness for the Paris Olympic Games, where he looks forward to medal in his second appearance. Omanyala will then head to Miramas, France. Will be joined by national 400 meters hurdle champion Wiseman Were and 400 meter champion Zablon Ekwam for further training.
The sprinters who are already in residential training in Kasarani have called on Kenyans to rally behind them as they seek to give their best performance for Paris Olympic Games. Ferdinand Omanyala, who set a world lead this year of 9.79 seconds in the national trials before it was battered by Jamaican Kishane Thompson to 9.77 seconds, will be among the stars attractions in Paris after becoming the first Kenyan to reach the semis in Tokyo 2022, but he said he is taking one race at a time to ensure he is well prepared for the ultimate test, which was echoed by his coach Geoffrey Kimani.
We never lose, we either win or learn. So for me it's been learning and winning all along. So either way, it's been a great journey, like I said. Lessons. And for sprints it's a process. First you have to move from being a national athlete to an international athlete. That's the first phase. And then the next phase is moving from now being an international athlete to maintaining being an international athlete. Because you find so many athletes shoot and then it's hard to maintain. So maintaining against another phase. And then you have another phase of you now medaling at the world events like the global games, like the World Champs and the Olympic Games and the Diamond League Series. So that's another phase. That's the phase that I am now. So I'm looking forward to see how the journey is going to be.
Like you've heard from him over through the season, even now we're not talking about the Olympics. We are going to be talking about the races that are coming up. So right now we are talking about Hengelo, what we need to achieve in Hengelo, what he needs to execute in his race in Hengelo. And then from then, between Hengelo and the Olympics, there's like 4 more weeks of training. So for now, our target, like we said, all through the season, is each race that comes, there's deliverables that we need to achieve.
Wiseman Were, who will be making his debut in the 400 meters hurdles, says he had some unfinished business to deliver in his first Olympics, where he aims to make history after reaching the finals of the same race in his first major international outing in the 2022 Commonwealth Games.
First, we have to believe in what we are doing. So the workouts were good, and there was that trust between me and the coach and the people. So he told me, you have whatever you need. You have the speed, you have the clearance, you have the endurance. So it's up to you. So you go, make yourself calm, focus, and you have the race. So with that thing in mind, I think I ran my race and you saw me getting the time ahead.
The national 400 meters champion Zablon Ekwam, who has also had an outstanding season, believes they can realize their dreams of successful outing in the sprints.
We are going to Paris with no pressure, first thing, and you need to understand that when you put a lot of pressure inside you, definitely you're not going to perform to your best. But what I promise the guys that I'm going there just to do the best I can. I'm not just going there to run sluggishly, but I'm trying to be the best. And you know what I mean to being the best. Getting my PB down, that means the best for me.
The sprinters will leave on Monday for Miramas with the national sevens team before they head to Paris for the Olympic Games, with the athletics program scheduled to start on the 1st of August this year.
Moving on is that Beyond Hoops Africa today conducted the 2024 Grow and Grind Basketball Camp for youth in Nairobi at the Dagoretti High School. The Grow and Grind 2024 Basketball Camp, in partnership with Dan Okeo, a former Kenyan basketball player based in Boston, USA, was celebrating the sport as a powerful tool for social inclusion and fostering friendship, community unity, and a pathway to education and unlocking opportunities for youth in Kenya. The project aims to promote sports inclusion among marginalized communities, such as those in the Kakuma camp, Amboseli, Samburu Girls, deaf and wheelchair basketball camps in Kenya. Plans are also underway to host these camps in various locations across the country, including Samburu, Lamu, and Turkana.
Teens na inatusaidia kuassociate na people from different places, and also inatusaidia like with mental health.
Tangu nizaliwa sijai cheza na disabled, but today is my first time nacheza na disabled, so imetujenga, inatufanya pia tunajua disabled pia tunafaa tukae nao. It's a
one-of-a-kind camp because we want to teach our sportsmen basketball fundamentals, because we realize that you find that our big man, our biggest, our greatest players, wakienda out there, it becomes difficult for them to adapt because maybe there are things that are not taught, you know. Wali learn to basketball from a friend, ama hivyo tu. So we are trying to nurture from as early as 7 years.
Our next generation, honestly, is just focus and just, you know, just attention to details, and just, you know, don't do bad stuff, and just, you know, stick with sports, stick with academics, stick to the things in life which is just really going to help you in life, and just try to mold you to be the best version of yourself.
And across our borders, France have defeated Belgium by a goal to nil to advance to the Euro 2024 quarterfinals. France joins England, Switzerland, Spain, and the host nation Germany. Later tonight, Portugal will be playing against Slovenia in Leipzig. That match just about kicked off. So France qualifying. This is after Jan Vertonghen scored a known goal of Randal Kolo Muani short in the 85th minute. And that's the sport for tonight. Have a very good evening. More coming to you tomorrow. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to Tom Mboya.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
You can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Thank you, Daniel, for that sporty update, and many thanks to Betty, who was on set earlier on to give us the day's business, and of course our sign language interpreter has been Anne Wangeshi. I want to thank you for doing a great job. And on behalf of the Prime Edition team, thank you for watching Prime Edition. We'll be back again tomorrow from Nairobi, Kenya. Good night, and God bless.
The future is simulate. Bet smarter. Win faster now. Be a winner. Mozart Bet.